and I'm off back towards the train station to head back to Hachioji. This morning woke up at 7:30. Wanted to go and write some postcards, which I did. Got about 10 or so now. Then I'm going to go to the post office, which is near the train station conveniently, and drop those off. And then jump on a train back to Hachioji so I can go to work. Yes, indeed, go to work. Wow, what a beautiful view of Fuji this morning. We split up this morning quick. Alex and Maxime went to a village that is close to Fuji, and then they also went to the sake rice production. God damn it! They went to the Osake rice wine production company and did a little tour. And I passed on all that because I just wasn't really feeling it. Have to go to work and didn't really want to be drinking anything before I have to go do that. So I just stayed back, wrote all my postcards, listened to music, drank coffee, ate some food, just now finished, checked out of the hotel, and now I'm walking. And so, really a good morning, given the circumstances, the best I could do with what I had. And I'm really happy about all these postcards that I'm about to send out. Makes me feel good. I'm really into writing postcards. Really like it a lot. And so very kind of meditative, D-Daw kind of morning. So I was able to get my head on straight, and I feel good. I'm resolved to the fact that I have to go to work, and on the train I'm going to figure out what exactly today's topic will be about. I know it's going to be about travel, but I need to make about 10 or so questions. Otherwise, the conversation just won't go anywhere with these people. The strangest thing, I think, about this English forum that we have is sort of twofold. One, Japanese people are very shy, and so their natural inclination to join the conversation is very low. And on top of that, if I want to have a group discussion, they seem to not understand English intonation. Like, if I'm asking them a question, for instance, has anyone here ever traveled? Obviously a question to an English speaker. But if I ask that to a group of Japanese, they don't understand that that's a question. And so after I ask that, I just stand there, actually. I always stand at the beginning of class and introduce who I am and what the topic is. And so I just stand there and, more or less wait for nothing. And then I'll just say, okay, and move on. And it's not until they get into groups that they really start talking. So, that's sort of an aside. Doesn't have much bearing on anything, but that's my plans on the train. And then depending on what time I get back to Hachioji, I'll decide whether or not to walk to school or if it would be smarter to grab the bus. It's 11 now. My shift starts at 3:15, so I have plenty of time to figure out what I want to do in the meantime. But I have a feeling that the bus might be the best choice. And, overall, I think the thing I'm most thankful for is that today's Friday, and this hell that I have to return to is going to be very, very short-lived. It's a 1-hour commitment for today. And then I'm free for another 3 days, because Monday's a holiday. And then we resume with the misery of what school is here, to put it mildly. And so that's good. I'm really looking forward to that, the weekend. I'm just not quite ready to commit back to school yet. And tomorrow, Saturday, I'm actually going with Maxime to a tour of a brewery. I don't know which one it is. Which one would it likely be? Kirin? Ebisu? I don't remember. A free tour of the brewery. Free drinks. Should be a good opportunity. No, that's not what I meant to say. Should be fun. And I'm not really looking forward to that, because I think if I had that day free, it would be more fun. But that'll be in the morning. And then I've been talking to Ellie about going to Takao-san, Takao Mountain, maybe sometime this weekend as well, depending on what time depending on what time the tour ends. Maybe I'll go to the mountain tomorrow as well, which would be a good full day. I'd really enjoy that. So that's my plan right now. Making my way back to the old train station. Gonna stop at the post office, send out all these postcards, get on the train, make my questions, and just enjoy. I'm glad that the guys this morning were able to go off and continue having fun, and that they didn't feel duty-bound to keep me company. One, because I was pretty into writing my postcards, which is a very singular activity. And two, because this isn't just my trip. I'm glad they came along with me, and I'm glad we've been together. But I'm even more glad that I guess they are still able to enjoy the free time that they have here, even if I don't have the same ability to share with them. I'm happy about that. This morning, I was saying to Maxime and Quick that I was not going to go to the sake tour anymore after we signed up for it yesterday. And Maxime was telling me that I could do my postcards on the train, and that I didn't have to do them at the hotel, which is why I said I was staying. I said I didn't want to go, and I wanted to finish my postcards so I could drop them off. And he was like, do them on the train. And oftentimes Maxime does not understand my intention behind things, and this was a classic occasion where I just felt like Maxime was not understanding that, like, I wasn't asking, if it was okay that I stay behind and do what I wanted to do with the time that I had. Like, I was telling him, and so I had to be a little firm, a little bit of a dickhead with him about that, but only briefly. And that tension passed pretty quickly, and I saw them off, and hopefully they're having a good time. They should be on their way, at least, to the village now, if not already there. And I'm sending them out good vibes. Things are good. Things are as good as it could be. I have a feeling I'll be passionate today at the, English Forum. I'll be very passionate about getting these people to consider traveling, to consider where they might want to travel, why, what they hope to learn, what languages they might need to know in these countries. Things like that. Travel. It's a good topic. It's one that's on my mind. I want to do the Appalachian Trail, y'all. Appalachian Trail. Funny, quick little story. I've written several postcards now to different people about the Appalachian Trail. And I'm not confident with how to spell Appalachian. I'm pretty sure I could spell it right if it came down to it. And there's like a pressure situation. And I had to, for some reason, spell Appalachian under penalty of death. I'm pretty sure I could do it. But, as an everyday kind of guy, in everyday kind of situations, I'm not sure how you spell that word, Appalachian. So I've just been calling it the AT. So, if you've received a postcard from me, and I said anything about the AT, you can have a little private snicker with yourself at my lack of, literacy. My ability to read and write. Yes, I was going to say legitimacy, but that's definitely not the right word. True. I guess I'll leave it here. Not much else to say, although I'd like to keep talking. I'll switch it over to music, figure out something nice to listen to in these last few steps. I can already see the post office, or at least where the post office is. But if we're walking like this, it's like walking with a friend. Just saying whatever I want comes to mind, It's nice. I'm not in a rush to put this recorder away. My dictaphone, as Maxime calls it. Very funny. Oh, I need to snap a picture of the station. I don't want to forget that. The Yamanashi Mount Fuji Station, Kawaguchiko. Need to remember that. other than that, the trip's cashed. Wow. I think I could, in a way, not the strongest way, but definitely in a way I could live here. This view of Fuji, if you had this every single day, there's a certain type of strength. Maybe it's just, I don't know, something so beautiful in sight all the time. I think it would do something for you, you know, be sort of a reason to, I don't know, not a reason to live, but something just beautiful to see every day. Sort of good for the soul, you know, more than just aesthetically pleasing. It's like a incarnate aesthetic pleasure itself. And it's just, man, what a sight to see. The mountains in Hachioji, where I live, the ones that surround the valley that Hachioji is situated in, are so beautiful to see every day. That's one of the main reasons I go on walks. And of course, with the mountains, that's why Asakawa and Kawaguchikawa exist. And I'm pretty sure that Asakawa flows all the way to this area, because I saw some signs for Asakawa, and I wouldn't think that there was more than one in such a small area. But this kind of imagery is just very powerful. And Hachioji, looking at those local mountains, you can usually see on a very clear, cloudless day, you can usually see Fuji poking out, just sort of majestically poking above all the other mountains, like a king or something. And it's been really great, even right now. Good Lord, what a great view. It's great to see it like this. It's like all these months that I've been here seeing Fuji every day, it's been without my glasses on. And now I finally got to put on my lenses and I can just see it with full clarity. A little bit of jaywalking action. Go to the old Yubin Kyoku. Kawaguchi-go Yubin Kyoku. Alright, I'll leave it to rest now. Gotta go into the post office and figure out if these postcards can make it to America. So, y'all take it easy. Much love from Mount Fuji. A beautiful view I wish everyone could see. Maybe one day we all shall. Take it easy.
To start the day, I go through all this before you wake up, so I can feel happier to be safe again with you. I go through all this before you wake up, so I can feel happier to be safe again with you. closed or open. I go through all this before you wake up, so I can feel happier to be safe again with you. I go through all this before you wake up, so I can feel happier to be safe again with you. I go through all this before you wake up, so I can feel happier to be safe again with you.
I'm on the train now back to Otsuki from Fuji, from Kawaguchiko Eki, the train station close to Kawaguchiko Lake. And I was able to drop off all my postcards, and it was a nice little exchange with the woman who was working at the Yubinkyoku post office. And they're just now turning on the engines for the train. Might actually be about to pull out here in just a few seconds. And I'm sitting in the train. I'm about 8 questions done already for my English forum, so that fucking shit is in the bag. No worries about that. We're just started moving. You can probably hear the music. Some vocals. So we're going to the amusement park first. Otsuki Yuki, headed for Otsuki.
Thank you for waiting. Thank you for using Fuji Kyuko line today.
What a horrible voice.
This is the Fujisan Limited Express bound for Otsuki.
The English one.
各位乘客，让您久等。感谢您今天乘坐福士急行。
I was going to say that
是前往大悦的福士山
I was lucky enough to grab the Limited Express, as you may have heard, back to Otsuki, which means I'll get there much quicker than I came.
이 전철은 후지산
Great
특급
views of Fuji to my
오츠기행입니다.
left.
まもなく富士急
Difficult to
ハイラ
talk
ンドです
over this woman.
お出口は右側です
I'll wait a moment. Let you
This
listen.
train will soon arrive at Fuji-Q Highland. Please exit to your right. 列车将要抵达福士吉乐园车站，出口在右侧。 잠시 후 후지큐 하이랜드에 도착합니다. 내리실 문은 오른쪽입니다.
So the same instructions given in Korean, Chinese, Japanese, and English. Probably the most common people, I guess, who come this route. I was just going to say that was lucky enough to grab the Fuji Express, like I said, and noticed while I was sitting here listening to all these instructions in all these different languages that the Japanese, I understood every word of it, and it's sort of a shame to be going back. This is one of the shames of going back, because I feel like I'm really, starting to get a grasp on this language in a way that's much deeper than it has been the entire time I've been here. When I went to the post office, I was just able to understand every single thing that I said and that the clerk at the post office said, and we had a little conversation, very competent conversation, and just now sitting on the train I was able to understand all of the instructions and everything in Japanese. So that's sort of a shame to be leaving that at such a pivotal point. I've been here for 6 months, so it's about time, I guess, that it starts to become an even more intuitive thing, being here and speaking the language and communicating with people, just trying to explain myself and understand others, So, yes, we're going by the amusement park right now. It's a pretty cool little amusement park. I'm definitely not up for it whatsoever. It doesn't look fun, but it looks pretty cool. It's got Fuji in the background, crystal clear day, blue skies. Actually, there's quite a few clouds around Fuji, so it's not so clear, but very beautiful to have this amusement park with Fuji in the background. And I guess I'll just listen to music here in a minute, and I don't know what else I'll do. I have postcards, actually. I might write a few more. I bought some gifts for Brittany, my mom, my dad, and Brittany, my mom, my dad, my sister, and I bought some more postcards for myself. So maybe I'll write a few. I'd like to write the Finleys, and I'll just enjoy the rest of the train ride. Maybe snap some really good pictures of Fuji, depending on if I do. So that's it for now. Back in Hachioji, 1:35. It's perfect, fucking awesome. I can walk from here at the train station, take a nice route up the river, to go through a park, and then head over to the dumb shit I have to do. But I guess that's balance. You can't have a sweet afternoon without having some dumb shit to cover it up. So hey, I accept that. I respect that. And I'm back. The journey is officially over, and now I'm just riding the curtails, the crashing wave back to school. The unfortunate part, jumping in front of people going downstairs, all that type of shit. This. Feeling like Samwise Gamgee all over again. But anyway, so this is the concluding clip for now. Listening to Fleet Foxes. That'll take me all the way back to school. So that's it. Winter break. Encapsulated. Done. Cashed. Pack another bowl. Hopefully another trip to come after the semester ends in a couple of days. Bye. I've got to say, walking through the very familiar roads of Hachioji on my way back towards school, there is something noticeably different. Just about everything. The sun seems brighter. The sky is completely clear. There's a sort of a different sort of energy that I'm not accustomed to feeling, even though I've walked this exact path 50, 60, 100 times maybe. I don't know how many times I've walked it, but I feel like I'm sort of experiencing a holy vision right now. Not anything that is quite as profound as how that sounds, but it's almost as if, I was feeling very cynical about Japan as of late. And now that I've done this traveling and seen that, more exists outside of Hachioji, believe it or not, I've been granted this little vision, this way of seeing Hachioji now as I'm walking back. That sort of like a vision of thankfulness, or a vision of appreciation, or correct perception. But I'm just approaching Asakawa, which I will traverse backtracking over towards the other 16, which I will then take the park over to the road that takes me to school. And I'll be showing up at work right on time. I'll probably have, a 10-minute window or so of leeway between when I get there and when my shift starts. And I don't know, it's a very beautiful moment right now. I'm seeing things I've never seen here in Hachioji, despite the countless times I've done this walk. And just digging on that. I'm at the Hachioji Mountains that I was talking about when I was on the train now. The mountains that surround us in this valley. And as soon as I get to the other side of Asakawa, where the post office is, I'll be able to see Fuji today from Hachioji, where I was recently just 8 miles away from the base of Fuji itself, and now I'm somewhere more like 60 miles away or so. And I'll see the view that I'm more accustomed to, but see it sort of through fresh eyes, as I've now spent this past few days so close to Fuji. Could almost spit on it. Probably what will be one of my greatest regrets once I go back to the States will be not having climbed it, but it's not to say that I never will. People have asked me if I'll go back to Japan, and my initial instinct and answer has been to say no. Even the sort of feelings I was having just being in Hachioji all the time, on the cusp of boredom some days, and just feeling like I had seen everything that I could see, and having sort of overextended myself in order to do so, more so than other students, I would think. I felt like I could comfortably say that not going back to Japan would be okay. But I think before I die, later in life, sometime after, I'd like to do the Appalachian Trail first. Certainly. I don't want to rush back to Japan when I'm young, like I am now, just to go at Fuji. But maybe, 20, 30 years down the road, when I'm looking at something like retirement or whatever life has in store. I've never thought about retirement before, and so I don't know if it's even sensible to say that I'm going to do something once I retire. I don't think I'll ever really retire from anything. To me, work is a form of relaxation, sort of. Anyway, sometime later in life, I'd like to return, certainly, and, climb the mountain. See Japan from that perspective, that view, 3,776 meters up. That would be beautiful. Unbelievably. The tunnel that I walk through often here in Hachioji is 1.6? I believe 1.6 kilometers long. And so that's about 3 of those tunnels stacked on top of each other. And those... What on earth is this? Those... Interesting, what is this? Some sort of eclipse or something? A bunch of people with really nice cameras, all pointed at seemingly nothing. There's no sticks posted in the ground, casting a shadow. I wonder if there's some sort of astronomical event that's supposed to occur. Here to see. Very distracting. I wonder what on earth they're doing. These people have cameras that have to cost thousands of dollars. Lenses are, 8 inches long. Anyway, I wouldn't even be able to understand. I could ask them what they were doing, but I wouldn't be able to understand the answer. So I'll just leave it as a mystery, I suppose. Anyway, later in life, return, hike Fuji, maybe with Quake, if we stay in touch. That would be great. So, I'm on Asakawa now. Time to return to music.
Well, how do you like that? I'm gonna have to be quiet here in a minute as I walk through the gallery of the English Forum Room. Might be a little bit obtrusive for me to be speaking. Maybe not, though. The place looks pretty empty. As a matter of fact, might be a cool effect on my voice. Oh, someone's here. I was wrong. Quietly. Alright, I'm outside now. Hopefully that was a cool little soundscape. Sounded like Darth Vader to me. Anyway, how do you like that? I didn't die. After all that hooting and hollering and cussing that I gave about having to get back to Hachioji to work at my stupid fucking job that I fucking hate, it actually wasn't bad. A good experience, and the universe even rewarded my diligency for my work by letting me have a good conversation with one of my fellow employees, one of my fellow staffers, someone who I worked with. Cool Indian girl, I actually don't even know her name. We've had several good conversations that are like very wide in their breadth and deep in their depth. Talking about religion and politics, economics, a lot of stuff just having to do with like the world as a whole, kind of. I'm trying to think if that's right. Like human-centered issues, you know. We talk a lot about that. She was asking me stuff about America, and she's from India, so she has a pretty cool perspective on the world from that position. I would have loved, I would have loved to have recorded it, but again, it's that moment. You have to decide. Do you ruin the moment by saying, hey, can I record this? It's, to me, what is it like? There's a sexual metaphor. I know that I could, it's not like taping sex, that's too one-to-one. There's a better metaphor. What is it like? It's like if you were having a sexual experience, shall we say, to make it PG-13. If you were having a sexual experience with someone and you and your partner were really enjoying it, and then all of a sudden you wanted to do something that might fuck it up completely or make it better, but it basically would just ruin the moment that you were having that was like special and close and, you know, meaningful. And I don't know, I had the inkling once during the conversation. I was like, fuck, I gotta record this. And I thought about doing it secretively, but can't do that. Just the morals and ethics behind recording a conversation without the consent or knowledge of the other person who I would be speaking to. It's just, can't do that. Can't cross that barrier and feel good about it. But we had a great conversation from about 4:30 till 6, and drank some coffee, hung out with my friend Ramon, who's also a fellow worker. He's from America, and he went back to California during the break. And he's from California, and he was just telling me about what it was like, and I was very honestly interested in whatever detail he could give me, because I'm going back to America in February. 22 days, and in the interim of those 22 days, I gotta do some dumb shit, man. Some dumb shit. A bunch of school stuff that I don't really want to do, and God, I just don't see the point. It'll get done, and it'll be done well, considering how much I've slacked off with it. There's these cranes here at Soka, building some new building, and they have like 8 or 9 cranes working on this one site, and every time I see it, I want to ask my dad, like, is this normal? Do they have, if you're making a pretty big building, do you tend to have so many cranes, or is this just another symptom of Japanese excessiveness and, you know, detail? I don't know. I feel like when I look at it, it's like Japanese people, there is never no expense is spared. Like if you can do the job best with 13 cranes in a 5 by 5 foot area, then Japanese people are going to try to get 13 cranes in that area. So I wonder, is it normal? Is it the average standard protocol? So maybe if I make this auditory note, then I'll remember to ask my dad. One interesting thing as I talk about things in the auditory world, this girl who I was talking with was talking about how my English is she said it reminds her of Hindi. The way I speak is very visual and poetic, and took that very highly complimentary. Even today, as I sat on the train back home and wrote furiously more and more postcards, which I've already written 3 more since I shipped out 12 or 13 earlier today. Words are, to me, I don't know why I like them. I can't even describe it. It's like when you like something, it goes beyond your power of description, although I could give a bunch of metaphors. She was just saying that her perception of my language usage reminds her of how she writes poetry in Hindi. And I thought that was cool. And she said that my English was more like British English, too, than American English. And I agreed with that. And I think that has a lot to do with my boy, Juan. How's it going? Good, doing well. That's my friend Juan. You remember him? He talked about fixing Central and South America, making it a place where they can develop their own local industries for things like car manufacturers and such. He's a cool guy. I like him. He seemed like he was maybe busy just now, or maybe a little upset. He was very short. Maybe he was on his way to class or something, or hungry. That HALT acronym has never ceased to be a very useful and important reminder of what to do when you need to evaluate your feelings. Hungry, angry, lonely, tired. Do any of these things describe why you might be upset? That's what you gotta ask yourself. I'm reeling on coffee. I didn't really drink a lot, but I've got a pretty empty stomach, so just like with alcohol, you drink 2 little cups and it goes the way of 4. It's funny because I feel like I'm walking at an incline because I'm sort of out of breath, but I'm out of breath because I keep talking at such a rapid interval that it's as if I were climbing a mountain. So this is like a mountain of speech. You can think of it like that. It's kind of cold out. It's nighttime. And doing the walk back to the dorms. It's kind of not sketchy, kind of nostalgic to be doing this walk right now. I feel like I haven't been here forever. I haven't missed it, but now that I'm back, I kind of miss it as I'm doing it, which is weird. Oh, brr, it's fucking cold. So for the rest of the night, good Lord, what to do? There's a lot to do. When you go on a trip, a vacation, you have to sort of accept, I think, that a bunch of shit is going to pile up that you have to do. And that's happened. A lot of the stuff, thankfully, that I need to do, that I'm going to do this weekend, as today's Friday, is stuff that I just want to do myself. I want to ship out these postcards. I have some gifts for my family, for Brittany. What else? Little shit. Shave. Laundry. It's, daily upkeep shit. It keeps you going from day to day in a state of organization rather than a state of mess. So I need to do that stuff. I'll probably go to bed late tonight. I'd like to anyway. Gonna have to go to that brewery tomorrow, which will be fun with Maxime. And tonight, I'm thinking about going to the grocery store. And in fact, now that I think about it, if I don't go to the grocery store, I don't know what I'm going to eat tomorrow. So since I have to go to that brewery, I probably will go to the grocery store. It closes at 10. It's like 6 something now. Oh, the light's about to change. I can cross and not have to look like some American asshole who doesn't like to follow the rules by crossing the street when the light is red. Cool, green light, perfect timing. As I take my first step onto the road, it's a mere matter of seconds since the light has turned green, and I can appear to be a law-abiding citizen, when in reality, had that light been red, I would have taken the same step at the same second, at the same interval of speed, and just had to deal with the consequences of looking like a prick. But hey, who cares? Not me. 22 days till I leave this bitch. So, might as well cross the street when I want. I mean, after all, I did cross the street when I wanted, even when I had a 6 months or whatever. Oh, disjointed thoughts right now. Good Lord, coffee makes my brain fire in every direction. Going by the Tokyo Fuji Museum of Art. And I know about 90% of the kanji on that reading. That's pretty cool. I know the kanji, I know the pronunciation, I believe, for museum, but I can't remember what it is now that I'm trying to recall it. Isn't that convenient? So, soon I'll be taking the final. I think like the 19th? The 19th of January, I believe, is the final exam. And I am not planning on studying for that piece of shit at all. I don't give a fuck. That feels great to say. So all my efforts are going to be towards just getting through these last few days of school, getting all the work done that actually counts, and then just royally failing the final exam. And, you know, fuck it, who cares? Yeah, that's about it. I feel good about that. I actually genuinely feel good. Which is funny because I had like a little panic attack the other day, feeling like I was going to fail everything. But now it feels okay. Maybe that's the coffee talking. But if it's talking, it's using my mouth, so I must believe it at least that much as well. Oh, I'm excited to get back to the dorms. I miss my friends, Maxime and Alex. I know Alex for fuck sure. He's got to be parked in Nito, the second tower of our dorms, playing Skyrim. He's been into this game since before we left to go to Fuji, and he's been depriving himself for a couple days now of playing. And I'm sure he is just dissolved into that game and probably won't stop playing until some ridiculous hour tonight, 4 or 5 in the morning, maybe even later. Some other guys played at our dorms and they just don't go to sleep. Or when they do go to sleep, it's like 5, or no, not 5, it's like 1 in the afternoon. You stay up from like 1 to 1. It's fucking crazy. Then you sleep from like 1 to, I don't know, 8. I don't know, it's a crazy schedule. I hate it. I would hate it. You cannot do much for your body in the way of exercise and nutrition if you're keeping those kind of hours. Maybe that's why I hate games as much as I do. Just that fear of sedentariness. Games imply stationary position, and I don't like that. I mean, this is the guy who wants to go on the Appalachian Trail, you know? Sort of the complete opposite of sitting for a long time.
All that she said was true. All that she said was true. Give her some time. Give her some space. All that she said was true. All that she meant was good. All that she meant was good. Give her some time. Give her some space. All that Give us some time, give us some space. How you reacted was right.
Let me take a little, you know how on the train tracks when they change the direction of the tracks, you pull that little lever and that the tracks like split, and then you can take a different set of railroad tracks to a different location. I want to do that real quick mentally and get back onto the track of talking with the Indian girl, which I wish I knew her name because the Indian girl sounds so demeaning and not racist, but just like stupid. Because in my mind, Indian is the best way to define her. But she had other characteristics too, obviously. But in America, you define people you don't know by their race, usually, if it's a different race other than your own. It's just a quick categorization. But anyone listening to this is probably American, so they probably already know that, even if they don't realize it's true. But it's like you have two friends named George. And you're like, hey, you know George got a new TV? You'd be like, Black George? You know you've had that situation in your life. If you're American, you know it. It has to be true. Unless they have some weird name because they're from another country. If they have an American name, like George, then you have to distinguish by race. It's just the way it is. You can't deal with it, and you gotta leave. But back to the Indian girl. That was unconscious. I did not mean to call her Indian girl again. It's bad. It was just a really good talk. Jesus Christ, this fucking motorcycle's coming fast. I was going to try to remember it some more, but nothing's really coming to mind. Wow, I feel like I have not walked this path forever. The familiar feeling of when I first came to Japan, and every day seemed like, a couple of weeks worth of time going by. Just with all that you would learn, all that you would see, you're just taking in a lot. And since I've been traveling this break, I've had similar experiences. Just having to take in so much information. And I feel now, back in these familiar Hachioji lands, it's just like, it feels like it's been much longer than it has walking this path. Because, I walked to school January 1st, 5 days ago. I walked to school, which would have kind of cut the break in half. So I would have spent half of my break outside of school and then half of break outside of school, having walked back to it once. So it's interesting. I don't know, it feels foreign. Like I've already left Japan and come back, and now I'm walking on like some really old, well-trodden road that's like nostalgic. Fuck. I need more topics. Can't stop talking. Not yet. Got too much coffee. It feels too good to speak. That girl, she was very easy to talk to and very well informed and taught me quite a few things. Every conversation, you learn a few things. And she taught me about some different schools in and around the United States. I think Montessori schools, people I think that know that pretty well, but there's this other type of school that she told me about. I forgot the name of it already. It's like Gothananum or something. Like a branch of schooling that deals with education from sort of an Eastern perspective, but not in the same way that like Eastern ideals, but not necessarily Eastern practices. Like, how I hate rote memorization. but not necessarily employing that, but just employing some of the different sort of ideas that come out of the Eastern tradition versus the Western tradition. You know, like the Eastern conception of the mind-body relationship and the ideas of filial piety and I guess what true knowledge is. You know, in the Western idea of knowledge acquisition, you tend to think that the more you gain, the more is gained. But in a lot of the Eastern practices, the more you learn and the more you gain, the less you know. So, sort of cryptic there. A little interesting thing. And apparently, there's one of these schools in Atlanta, in Decatur, and I'm sure I've biked by it. They said it was 3 blocks away from, what the fuck's that place called? Agnes Scott. God, that's not even a difficult thing to remember. Come on, dude, pull it together. Get that coffee going in the right circuitry, the right brain circuitry. That was a good conversation. I really enjoyed it. Had I known about this conversation when I was yesterday so unhappy to be going back, I think I still would have been unhappy, honestly. But I think I would have been more resolved to the fact that I was going to have to go to work and not stay in Yamanashi with the most beautiful views of Fuji I've ever seen in my life. I talked to this girl about coming back to Japan later in life to hike Fuji, and she's the first person I've told since I had the realization earlier today that I wanted to do that. And it was funny because when I thought about it and came up with that I would like to probably do it in 20 or 30 years, it was funny to see her reaction to that sort of a time frame. Oh, Zhonghua. Hello. Konbanwa. こんばんは。
うわ
今帰ってる？OK。どこにいた？
ー、投げや。
稲毛屋。いいね。
さんいた？
いた。すごく綺麗だった。写真ある。
雪降ったでしょ。
はい。雪あった。
羨ましい。この服でいた？
はい。
寒くない？
寒かった。でも、it was worth it. すごく綺麗。
いいね。
あそこで富士、とても大きだそう。アレックスの写真もある。Where is he? 寝てる、もちろん。テーブルでマクシム、クイック。みんなちょっと酔っ払っちゃった。
酔っ払っちゃった。
ちょっと楽しかった。
よかったね。
Yes. いいですね。Well, ちょっと遠い。
ちょっと？
歩きで？全部？ちょっと遠い。
運動。
運動。いいね。いいこと。Alright. Well, じゃあね。Interesting. Alex's girlfriend, who went to the trip, Alex Leitner, just passed his girlfriend walking home from the store. Had a conversation all in Japanese, obviously, but Japanese is really starting to feel just like that second pair of shoes that you only wear sometimes, but still feel familiar, you know. Especially easy fucking conversations. It's weird to see her. When you think about it sometimes, when you have a weird coincidence like that, when you meet someone that you didn't expect to meet, somewhere you didn't expect to meet them, you sort of have to think, you know, everything that happened, you could stretch it all the way back to the beginning of time, but for the sake of argument and for the sake of what is easy to understand, everything that happened today has led up, not necessarily purposefully, but certainly in a I don't know, cause and event sort of sense. Everything that happened today has led up to this chance meeting between me and Zhenghua, which is pretty profound if you really think about it like that, because then you realize, I was just about to cross the street like I just did, which would have meant that I missed her if I had been 30 seconds sooner, and had I been 30 seconds slower, I would have still met her. So slower doesn't work. But if I had been faster, if today had been faster by even just a single minute, I would have missed her. And not that again, this is not taking a profound approach. I want to just realize I haven't even been back to the dorms yet. This is my first actual return. I went straight to work. So it's not a profound thing that, there's no meaning behind it per se. But it is interesting that it is a fact that the events of today have led to this meeting. And you can oftentimes do this in events in your life and think, wow, if one thing had been different, it would have changed this occurrence. It would have changed this outcome. And, if you've read Dave Eggers, which a lot of my friends have, and if you've read You Shall Know Our Velocity, as a lot of my friends have, you will remember his talking about the multiverse theory and bubble universes and stuff, and how infinite possibility, and how every occurrence that happens in any of these infinite universes is the expression of one of these possibilities. But there's a string of infinite possibilities. There's a string of possibilities occurring in tandem with what is happening right now as I speak into this microphone, where I just sneezed. There's another one where I accidentally just shit my pants. There's another one where I purposefully shit my pants but pretended it was an accident. And so on and so forth, ad infinitum, to infinity. And I like thinking about that thought. It's fun. You just sort of go in and out of time and space. It can be consoling in times when emotions come out, but overall it's not very consoling at all. Again, there's no real profundity to it. It might just be a cold hard fact. It smells weird. This is a distinctly American smell, but I don't know what it is. Burning, some sort of plastic, some sort of shitty kind of smelling stuff. I saw a fireplace on my trip to Mount Fuji. That was nice. That was an Ine moment. It's one of those moments that makes you stop and say, Ine. That's good. We had a little discussion about Ine. Me, Ramon, and the Indian girl, talking about how there's no real translation directly into English, which is unfortunate because it really is a very, the way I saw it was Ine, using that, the appropriate times to use that occur in every language, because whenever there's an Ine situation, you could say Ine, but there's no English word that you say in Ine space. Barry Todd, there's no fucking way he's here. And so, Ine, I don't need to remember what I was going to talk about. Ine exists in a certain speech. Forget it. I'll talk about it later when I remember and I'm focused. Anyway, Yoshi. Hagu. Oh, tadaima. Alright, I'm officially back. Time to shut this thing off.